Every team out there has rules. But what about the ones nobody ever tells you about? The ones you only find out exist, well, after you've already broken them. Today, we're going to drag those invisible rules right out into the open. We're going to make them visible and create a real playbook for success. So, let's dive in.
Oh man, we've all been there, right? It's your first week, you're trying to make a good impression, you shoot a quick question over Slack to your boss, and you just get crickets, total silence. And then later, someone pulls you aside and is like, oh, hey, by the way, we only use email for that stuff. That sinking feeling in your stomach, that's what we're talking about. And that's exactly the kind of anxiety we're going to tackle.
So yeah, these unwritten rules, they're like the silent agreements that kind of run the whole show. And here's the problem. When they're invisible, it just creates this cloud of anxiety. It can even make people feel like they don't belong. That whole imposter syndrome thing? And the fix isn't just about, writing them down in some dusty document. It's about being intentional. When you make these rules clear and explicit, you're not just making a list. You're actually designing a culture where everybody, and I mean everybody, knows how to win.
All right, so where do we start? Pillar number 1, communication. This is the absolute bedrock of any team that's going to do great things. When you get this right, you slash misunderstandings, you cut down on friction, you build trust. It all, and I mean all of it, starts with being crystal clear about how you talk to each other.
So let's just pause here for a second. Think about your own team. How do you guys actually communicate? Is there a real shared understanding, or is everyone just kind of guessing and hoping for the best? It's a huge question, and I'll tell you, getting the answer right can change literally everything.
And look, you can get really specific with this. Are you a Slack-first team, or is email the place for anything official? And what about the tone? Are you all about GIFs and emojis, or is it a little more buttoned up and formal? The thing is, there's no one right answer here, but what's non-negotiable is having a shared answer. That's how you kill the confusion before it even starts.
And this is where the stakes get really high. It's like you have two completely different worlds. On one side, you've got a blame culture. People hide their mistakes, they're afraid to take risks. On the other side, a learning culture. Mistakes aren't the end of the world, they're actually opportunities to get better. How your team deals with slip-ups determines which world you live in. And trust me, that choice makes all the difference for a team's ability to actually innovate and grow.
Okay, that leads us perfectly into our second big pillar, how we handle mistakes. This is where the rubber really meets the road for all those communication rules we just talked about. This is where a team's culture is truly forged in the fire. A team's reaction when things go wrong, well, it says absolutely everything about how much trust and psychological safety you really have. No, seriously, ask yourself, what happens when someone on your team messes up? Is the first instinct to start a witch hunt to find out who's at fault? Or is the first question, okay, how do we fix this together? If you're a leader, your reaction in that moment sets the tone for everyone. Are you creating an environment of fear or an environment for learning?
So the key here is to have a super clear process. And honestly, it can be this simple. Step 1, own it. No excuses. Step 2, fix it. Jump on the solution right away. And step 3, learn from it. Figure out how to not let it happen again. See? This simple little framework completely shifts the focus away from blame and puts it squarely on growth. And that shift, man, it's everything. Because a team that isn't afraid to fail is the only kind of team that's ever going to be brave enough to truly innovate. Which brings us right to our third pillar. See, once you've built that safe space where it's okay to make mistakes, the next logical step is to empower your team to really take the lead. That's what ownership is all about. It's that proactive mindset, those behaviors that take a team from just being good to being genuinely great.
I want you to picture the best person on your team right now. You know who I'm talking about. What makes them so great? Chances are, they don't just sit around waiting for instructions. They see a problem, they see an opportunity, and they just handle it. By actually writing down what that looks like, you're creating a roadmap for everyone else to follow.
And here's what that actually looks like in practice. Someone with real ownership, they don't just flag a problem. They flag the problem and come with a, hey, here's an idea for how we could fix it. They're not afraid to put their hand up and say, you know what, I'm stuck, because they trust the team has their back. They over-communicate on their progress so nobody's ever left in the dark. This is the gold standard you want to bottle up and define for your team.
Okay, let's shift gears for a second because this last part might just be the most important. Up until now, we've been talking about all the good stuff, the behaviors we want to encourage. But now, we have to get really, really clear on what we will absolutely not put up with.
These are the non-negotiables, the hard lines that protect the team's respect and safety.
Yeah. These are the red lines. The lines in the sand, these are the things that, if they happen, can cause damage that's almost impossible to repair. They just shatter trust. And that's why there can be absolutely zero gray area here, zero ambiguity.
So you have to be totally explicit. Things like gossip, lying, throwing other people under the bus, these aren't just bad habits. They are poison to a team's culture. They actively destroy trust. In fact, these are the exact things that create that toxic blame culture we talked about. So by calling them out and saying, "We don't do that here," you are actively defending your team.
So, when you've done the work, what do you actually end up with? Well, you'll have a clear, simple list for how you communicate, how you handle mistakes, and what ownership looks like. You'll have your hard list of red line behaviors. And what you've created isn't just a document, it's a powerful guide. You've taken your team culture from something that just kind of happens by accident and turned it into something you designed on purpose.
And here it is. This is the ultimate litmus test for your new rulebook. Read it over and ask yourself this one simple question. If a brand new hire read this on day one, would they know exactly how to act to be successful here? If the answer is a confident yes, then you've nailed it. You've taken the invisible and you've made it visible. So, that leaves us with one final question for you. Every single team has a rulebook that defines its culture. There's no escaping that. The only question is your team's rulebook written down for everyone to see and succeed with, or is it still invisible, just waiting in the shadows to trip up the next new person who walks in the door?